Understanding expenses. Hi everyone, welcome back to Budget of Oz. My name's Sarah, a disabled low-income budgeter, and today we're going to be going over my expenses, and I'm kind of going to be talking through how to understand your expenses, as I'm kind of trying to get back on track, and I'm restarting kind of my cash budget journey and my zero balance journey. So I thought I would take you along with me from the very beginning. And the first thing is kind of understanding your expenses. And so I thought, why not? Let's go through it together. And I don't know, maybe this will help some people, maybe it won't. I don't know. I just have like a plain dot grid notebook. I find pen to paper works best, but you can do this online or whatever. This is just for me how that plays out. And there are a few different things that I look at in terms of how I want to look at things and what I want to prioritize. But let's kind of just get into it. I have a whole bunch of pretty different colors and some rulers to see if we can make it look relatively functionally aesthetic. So I always thought what year it is. So it's going to be the 2025 to 2026 budget. Okay. So for me, the first thing what I'm going to do is I want to get an idea of all of my expenses and how they kind of work out and play together, basically. And where they are in terms of importance. Pretty much all of my categories will be important, because I'm not going to worry about things that aren't important. That's just the way I roll. So I'm going to start with so when we're looking at our expenses, for me, I am going to start with just kind of writing down the basic categories. So for me, my basic categories are bills, disability, everyday consumables, and then also I would put on here more like annual one-off expenses, like for me, my car. So car service, rego, and CTP, as well as like, tires and things like that. So looking over, those are the major expense. Those are my expenses for the year, the categories for my expenses for the year, in terms of where they fall. There is also kind of the additional one of savings / sinking funds, because we're using the cash stuffing method and we're using the zero balance method. We usually put the remainder into the savings funds and the sinking funds and all that kind of stuff. So we do have the savings / sinking funds where we would put the excess, and they can be divided up into a whole bunch of different things. But for me, when I look at the way that this all kind of plays out, these will also have different categories in themselves. So I'm going to talk through disability and everyday expenses in their own kind of different video. But for bills, I have annual bills. I have quarterly bills. And I also have monthly bills. And I think most people might have a spattering of those typically as well. Again, with the car, we have kind of some just set things. And then with savings and sinking funds, I do have some that are like, I guess, priority ones. So, for example, the emergency fund is definitely up there. I'd say that that's probably one of the most high priority ones, but it's not the only high priority one, of course. And sorry, I would, also say that family is up there as a high priority. I'd also say that my 40th is up there as a high priority. And I'd also say repair buffer is up there as a high priority as well. But with the sinking funds, that's not going to be all of them because there are many. And then there also we have savings challenges, right? And it really does depend on what savings challenges I'm trying to complete. And how much, if we have any rollover, it's how quickly we do those. So that's also a little bit different. So now I want to kind of go over how I kind of collect all the information I need for kind of putting together, everything I need for like a yearly financial year budget and like putting it all together. So with the bills, because we have annual, quarterly and monthly, it can get a bit overwhelming and a little bit like intense, which is fair enough. So what I start to do is I start collecting basically the costs of each of the bills and also roughly when they are due. Particularly for the annually and quarterly, it's good to know when, on what month that they fall. So I'm going to basically draw up a little bit of kind of a spread that I use, and hopefully I'll speed through this so you can kind of see how I do this. Okay, so we have the different bills, how much per pay period, and then how much per annum that they actually are. And then we have a monthly schedule to put them where they go. So first up, I'm just going to list all of my annual bills. Okay, so these are already in per annum, so we're just going to write in the per annum amounts. So Squarespace is actually two separate payments. One is for Squarespace itself, the other one's for the domain. So they are in April and May respectively. So we're just going to put that down. So Squarespace down here. But altogether it is $330 per year. Zoom is $250 per year, and that comes out in June. Zoom in June. Very funny. Grammarly is also $250 per annum, and Grammarly comes out in May. So Grammarly. Okay. Then we have our VPN. That is $160, and our VPN that comes out in November. Microsoft is also $160, and that comes out in March. Okay. And Roadside is $110, and that comes out in December. We then have Prime, which is $80, and that also comes out in December. Prime down here. Okay, so those are our annual bills, and this is kind of how they're distributed across the year. Some in the first half, and then some here in the second half. All right. Let's have a look at the quarterly bills. Okay, so there are two ways to look at the quarterly bills. You can go for an average of like your last year, or what I do is I look at my last year and look at the most expensive amount for this bill, and then that's the amount that I base it off of. So for my land rates, well, they're set. I know how much they are going to be. They are $480 per quarter, which means that per annum they are $1,920. So that's set. I know what that is. That's not going to change. But for water, gas, and electricity, I looked back over the last year and I took whichever bill was the highest, and that's the one we're going to use. So for water, the highest bill that I had was for $180 a quarter. So we're going to use that one, and it's going to be $750 annually. For electricity, the highest was $250 for the quarter, and that means that we're going to be doing $1,000 per annum. And for gas, the most expensive was $150 per quarter, which means that we're going to be doing $600 for the year. Again, everyone does this a little bit different. I like to over budget for my expenses and then under plan my income, just so I know I've got everything covered. I'm a little bit different to everyone else, but that's what I choose to do. And anything extra can go into our sinking funds and our savings challenges, or buffering out some extra everyday and disability things that we need to. Oh, sorry, my voice is getting crunchy. Just gonna have a drink. Okay. All good. All right. Okay, so monthly expenses. I'm going to go list through all of my monthly expenses, and we will have a look at those. Okay. Alrighty. So my health insurance actually comes out fortnightly, not monthly, but it's $180 per fortnight. So I'm just going to put a times 2 there so I remember that, which means altogether it's $4,680. That is my most expensive bill. My health insurance is the most expensive thing I have to pay out of everything every year. Yep. Really sucks to live with disabilities. All right, moving on because that's rather depressing. House insurance is $220 for the month. So that means for the year it's $2,640. Car insurance is $115 per month, which makes it $1,380 for the year. Our internet is $105 per month, which makes it $1,260 per year. Our phone is $65 per month, which makes that $780 per year. Our credit card is $200 per month, which makes it $2,400 per year. Our subscriptions. Now, I've been able to cut down on my subscriptions significantly. I've actually been able to halve them. So we're going only $25 in subscriptions now per month, which is, we were doing $50. So I'm really glad. I'm really proud of myself. I did keep the things that I use the most often, and I got rid of the things that I don't really use. So $25 a month, and that will be $300 a year. And then banking fees. So these banking fees are the fees for my credit card and for overdraft. So if I overdraft, so if I withdraw past zero on my card, there's a small fee. Now, I have an arrangement with the bank that it's a small fee, not a huge fee. It's like $1. So for me, I always bank to have that fee money in my budget. If I don't need it because I didn't overdraft, then this money goes into savings. But I always plan to have it. This is, again, I do pay that small credit card fee, which is fair because a credit card isn't a bank card. And then with my bank cards, I am a pensioner, so there are no fees. It's just with the overdraft. If I do overdraft, then because I haven't moved money around enough in time for bills, from my bills account, then there's a small fee. But it's not a massive, huge fee. It's just a small fee. And because like my bank knows that I'm good for the money because I've got a very good credit rating. So because of that, I always just budget it in. So I always budget $15 a month. I've never had it come over that ever. And only a few times a year has it ever gotten that high. So $15 a month, which would make it $180 a year. So let's have a look at the where the quarterly rates go. I didn't really put those in. So in January, we get the electricity and the gas. It's great to have annual bills right after Christmas. In March, we will get land rates and water, just to make it a little bit difficult. April will also get, again, electricity and gas. And then, of course, June, we will get our land rates and our water. Then come September, we will get our electricity and our gas. Hold on, what have I done wrong? Sorry. Electricity and gas should go here. And this is land rates and water. And this is electricity and gas. And then finally, yeah, in December, it's land rates and water. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's what we have. We have what our bills look like for the year, and this is one of our major expenses, of course, is our bills. We also have how they look in terms of coming out and when we need the money. I also wanted to have a quick look at our car and the car expenses that we have. So our car expenses realistically aren't massively high, all things considered. So we have already got like car insurance in here. For us, our CTP insurance is probably the most expensive, and that's usually around $700, give or take. Our pink slip is usually about $100. And then, you know, you've got a service, at least a service. So I usually just put, you know, $400 down for a service, give or take. And so we're looking at like $1,200 for the car. That's not counting gas or tires, because that's consumables. That's just counting like the registration and like the annual cost for the car, like the fundamental rego and all of that. It's not counting every day. This is like its own cost, not counting every day, because every day is all of those consumable things like food and everything. So yeah, this is kind of understanding your expenses and understanding where your money's got to go. This is a good little look at how I understand my bills, and then how I understand like a big annual expense like car rego and servicing, and how I look at that and how I conceptualize that for the year. And yeah, there will be some more videos coming out on how to look at your disability or health expenses, and how to look at your everyday expenses living frugally. But hopefully me getting back on track helps everyone else out and is a bit inspiring. So yeah, green heart in the comment like always. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for the lovely comments and the community for helping out and answering other people's questions. You're getting there before I can, so thank you so much. It's absolutely lovely. As always, you can find me everywhere on the internet. I'm just at Budget of Oz everywhere. And I just want to say I am so glad that I'm back. I really did miss doing this, and so I'm so glad that I'm here. As always, I'm so glad you're here. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.